Hi everyone, Tracy Filter here with Tracy's Ink Spot, bringing you another Fun Fold Friday video. This is also called a double point fun fold, and I did one of these last week in a different style, so sometimes these names kind of overlap each other. This particular one I found from Sue Stampfield, so thank you, Sue, for showing me how to make this one. So this is how our finished product's going to look, and let me go ahead and show you where those elements come from. All right, so my stamp set today is going to come from the current mini catalog, January to June 2022, and it is this Let's Set Sale bundle, which is on page 70. So it comes, there's a stamp set and a matching punch. Love punches, makes your work really quick and easy. Love, love, love. And then I'm also going to be using the baker's twine from the Fan Baker's twine, sorry, on the next page above that. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is what you are going to need. You are going to need a piece of cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You're going to need another piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. You're going to want these to coordinate with your designer series paper. So 2 different colors, something that'll coordinate with the designer series paper that you're using. And then of that designer series paper, you're going to want to have 2 pieces that are 3 by 4. And we're going to score them at 1 inch, and I'll show you how to do that on your paper trimmer in just a second. And then you're going to want to have some kind of focal point or layer. And as you can see, it's the part that's going to be holding that card closed on the front here. Whoopsie. On the front here. So something approximately starting about 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So mine uses, I took 2 pieces of cardstock. One is basic white, one's Pacific Point, and I used my stitched rectangle dies to cut out those 2 pieces. Okay. My other parts here, I have a basic white as my layer, that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have Night of Navy as my 4 by 5 1/4 layer. And then I'm using, for my designer series paper, I'm using Waves of the Ocean, and this is a special offer currently, limited time availability, and it's got beautiful, beautiful, like it says, ocean wave kind of concept. So there's these beautiful blues and greens that are in all of these really neat wave and blotty patterns. And then the back side is a little bit of a different color palette. So you've got some of the paler colors. You've got yellows and corals, more of a pastel green. And again, you can see the yellows and corals. So love, 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 love this designer series paper. Only for a limited time, so make sure you snag some before it's gone. All right, so this is the piece I'm using. It obviously was larger to start with, but this is where I got my designer series paper from, or my pieces for that. All right. So let's go ahead and take those 2 pieces that are 3 by 4, and you're going to want to score them. So here's obviously your 3 and your 4. You're going to want to score them along this direction at 1 inch, like so. So I'm going to take out my trimmer here. I'm going to place that at 1 inch. And make sure you're using your scoring blade. Very, very important. You don't want to end up cutting. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this one. So again, 1 inch. All right. Now we're going to take and work with those creased folds now. So grab your bone folder. You're going to want to have some really nice folds, or really sharp folds on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a really good crease. And the same thing with this one. Okay, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to make 2 triangles with what's left here. So use the back side. We're going to fold this towards there we go. Fold it toward that score line and give it a good crease. So it's kind of like if you've ever made like a paper sailboat or hat, or something like that. You're kind of doing that same concept. We're going to fold that down towards that score line. Okay? And we're going to do that with both pieces. So fold at the corner and fold at the corner. Okay. So now you've got ones that look like that. Now, if for some reason your DSP was directional that you're using, mine's kind of an overall pattern, so it didn't really matter what direction it went. But if you are using something that is directional, make sure you've got it facing the correct direction before you do those scores and folds, because if you want your pattern to be going the right direction once it's on your card. Okay, so a little tip there, if you have a piece that is directional, you're definitely going to want to have that going the right way. All right, then you're going to want to adhere those down because we don't really need them to be popping it up at all. So I'm going to be using my multi-purpose glue, just putting a little bit under each flap. Okay. So again, a little bit of glue under each flap. All right, so we can set those aside for a second. And you're gonna grab next your piece of cardstock. That's the 4 by 5 1/4. So my ultimate layer is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm using basic white for that. And then I've got this piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. That's what I'm gonna go and adhere these guys to now. So they're gonna go attached to the back and fold over to the front. So you're gonna wanna put a strong adhesive here. So you can use your glue again, or you could use like Seal Plus or your tear and tape. You just want something that's gonna hold that in place really, really well, because it's got a little bit of a, again, you've got a little bit of a fold going on, so you wanna make sure that that stays nice and secure on that piece of cardstock, okay? And remember, again, if you have something that's directional, make sure you've got both pieces headed the right direction. All right, go ahead and do this one. So you're just taking that piece of cardstock up to that score line, just a tiny bit below it, so it folds over really nicely. Okay, and let's go ahead and do some burnishing with our bone folder again, just making sure those creases are nice and tight. All right. Then we're gonna go ahead and put that onto our big layer. And you can use just your regular adhesive for this if you want. I've got my Stampin' Seal here. And that's just gonna be centered all the way around. Okay, so let's work on our focal point. So what I've done is I have taken my Let's Set sail and I've put the pieces on the 2 sails and the boat part. There we go. And I'm just gonna go, what I did was my first sample, I stamped them twice. I stamped them in Poppy Parade and I stamped them in Night of Navy. So I'm gonna show you how the punch lines up really nicely with these pieces. I'll stamp it again here in my Poppy Parade. Okay. Then you can take your punch. Oh, of course I fed that the wrong direction. Just cut off what I don't need here. There we go. All right, so it's going to feed in here. Turn that down a little bit again. There you go. All right, so it's gonna feed in here. Take off a little more in the corner. There we go. Alrighty, getting that lined up myself and then I will show you. Okay, so it's all fed in there now and it's all lined up and you just punch and all 3 pieces are gonna pop out. And now you have a boat and 2 sails. And like I said, I did them in 2 different colors. So then I have 2 different boats. So on my original project, my sails are poppy and the boat is navy. And this one is gonna be just the opposite. All right. If you'll notice too, I did put a piece inside underneath that's hidden by this felt focal point because I wanted to have something in there. So it's just a little piece that's about similar to just a little under the size of that second stitched rectangle layer that's in the Pacific Point. Okay, so let's adhere these guys together like so. Okay, I'm gonna put my Adventure Awaits phrase on there, up in the corner. And that way I will know about where I wanna have my sailboat. And I'm gonna adhere the sailboat on with some dimensionals to give it a little bit of lift. So 1 on each of those sails. Boop. Okay. There you go. All right, now my sailboat is attached with my dimensionals and my phrase is on there. I'm gonna wanna put that onto here, only adhering it at the top. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna put the adhesive on this particular piece of paper or in this spot on the paper, I should say. And then I know exactly where that's going to hit. I'm using some tear and tape because I want this to stick down really, really well. And again, tear and tape is really easy to work with until you want to get that paper off because it wants to be stubborn. There we go. Whenever I'm trying to show it on camera. If you've watched any of those videos, you'll know it's this and those sticky or the papers for the dimensionals. They never want to come off easily when you're working under pressure. Okay, gonna go ahead and burnish that a little bit to make sure it stays down. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and adhere that piece in the inside under about in the center. And then it's hidden by my outer piece. Now for the last finishing touch, I'm going to take a little piece from the Poppy Parade and white baker's twine that comes in that pack from the Fan baker's twine. So that comes in evergreen, navy, and poppy. You get all three colors together. And I've already tied a tiny little bow. And if you've ever worked with some of these with your glue dots, you know, your glue dots can be a little large. So what I do when I do these little teeny tiny ones, before I take it off of the roll, I roll the glue dot itself up into a tiny little ball. Now it's going to be hard to see, of course, because the camera and it's on my finger and you can't quite see it. But now there's a teeny tiny little bit of glue dot right on that knot. And I'm going to use that just to stick down right there. Okay, so there you go. That is this version of a double point fun fold. Again, these items, except for the Ocean DSP, can be found in the January to June mini catalog. And if you have any questions about anything at all the details will be in the description of this video. And you can always send me questions, email, or visit my Stampin' Up website if you want to place an order based on what you've seen today. All right, thank you all for joining me again for another Fun Fold Friday. Look forward to seeing you next time. Happy stampin'!